If your intentions are to work as a business analyst within a typical IT industry organization or any organization within IT department, you might consider to acquire some basic skill set. First of all, you need to understand your organization specific internal business. This is very important for you. Secondly, you might consider to get a basic knowledge about finance. A business analyst, a good one, usually requires some basic understanding of accounting. Also, because you will be eliciting requirements from the project stakeholders, you require some soft skills to communicate with variety of people. Then, normally and usually, business analyst is a specialist in Microsoft Office tools, all of them. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and some others. Sometimes you are not obligated, however, you might get some very basic knowledge about networking, which is based on seven layers of OSI model. The OSI, Open System Interconnection Model, describes how networked system architecture communicate and is most helpful in describing network protocols and services. The OSI model is called a reference model because it is rarely used in practical application. The OSI 7-layer model illustrates how information moves from a sender to receiver and back again. You might quickly learn some 7 layers: physical, data link, networking layer from the bottom up, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. You might need, like I said, if you intend to work as a business analyst, you might need to understand very basic networking principles. I'll give you time to read, or you can stop and read it, and we'll process next. Why do you need it? Because as a business analyst, you might be responsible for organization network topology and many schemas. You need to understand basic interconnection. You don't have to be a specialist. You simply need to be able sometimes to read network topology. Like this one, very basic one. Need to be able to differentiate database server from web server, and to identify, let's say, IBM mainframe from AS400. All of this is very simple because you might be able to read, let's say, your headquarters office where you're working is located in city A. Your database server is located in city B, your web server is located in city C, and your mainframe is located in city D. Something like that, only basic reading. Then, as a business analyst, you have to be able to use Microsoft Visio and PowerPoint. Because business analyst in many cases is responsible for the software product wireframing. So you need Microsoft Visio and Microsoft PowerPoint. It's not necessarily sometimes a specific designer does it. However, business analyst, if you're working within IT industry, especially for software product, you are required to be able to understand these wireframes because these wireframes of your future prototype product are connected to your end user product requirements. Also, you might able to understand very basic stuff about cloud providers service model. Simply speaking, any cloud providers, there are three major of them, are divided in three layers. First, from bottom up, infrastructure as a service, where you buy actual physical network infrastructure, actual building services. Platform as a service, where you buy, let's say, Windows 11 or some other platform on top of your infrastructure. And software as a service, when you're buying only application, however, you're paying for everything. What does it mean? Software as a service is good for end users only. Platform as a service is good for actual application developers. And infrastructure as a service is good for network architecture, solid. Let's take a look at major cloud providers. Basically, all three of them practically providing identical services with some minor differences. Microsoft Azure is good in integration with Microsoft products and services with enterprise solutions and recommended to specialized organizations providing services like health, banking, insurance, telecom, software government, and many others. Simply for some kind of big enterprises. Amazon Web Services, AWS, is known for its extensive services, global reach, and mature ecosystem, and recommended to commercial organizations providing services like online product sale and direct delivery, warehouse distribution, direct door-to-door, and so on. Basically speaking, if you are in global sales. And Google Cloud Platform, GCP, is strong in data analytics, machine learning, containerization, and recommended to high-tech commercial organizations specializing in providing top-of-the-line services required urgently and on demand in present time. Basically speaking, for innovative high-tech solutions. This is a basic difference. As a business analyst, you might want to understand the very basic difference between three major cloud providers. As a business analyst, you are not obligated, however, you might know about some programming language very existence. You simply don't have to be confused when you hear about programming languages existence in which software products might be developed. Let's take a look some of the major ones. C++, very known, famous. Microsoft C#, competitor of Java with Microsoft Visual Studio. Java, very known, there is no need to introduce it. Groovy, Java-like language. Swift is used in banking and inter-country money exchanges. Microsoft Visual Basic, together with C#, is working with Visual Studio. Python is very famous one and a recent hit on the market. PHP is good for web pages, for PHP forms sending to the server. Next three are working together. HTML Red, Cascading Style Sheet Blue, and JavaScript. They worked as a package. They are used as a package for the front end web and mobile developer. Mobile is same web but in smaller size. Who is this? This is COBOL, common language, common object-oriented language used with mainframe, very old and very good and very stable, and it's gonna be for a long time. Good old Perl, and some interesting ones like Ruby, or you might hear some MATLAB. Such a little visual schema. I specifically made it visual for you, so you will simply, when you see it, you might remember about it. Next, You are not obligated to create databases. It's not your responsibility. However, you shouldn't be confused when you hear some next of the database's official names. IBM DB2 mainframe, very good, very solid, with good reputation. Microsoft SQL Server, simply perfect. Oracle database, old and proven. New competitor SQLite usually is used on your desktop. MongoDB and PostgreSQL are very narrowly specialized. MySQL is trying to compete with Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle. And some interesting one like Redis and good and old Microsoft Access. Very proven, very stable, pretty good. Then you might get yourself familiar about typical programming languages and IDE pairs. What is IDE? It's integrated development environment in which you use some kind of programming language to create some kind of software product. For example, Python is good with PyCharm. PyCharm is IDE for Python. Java is good with Eclipse. Eclipse is specifically built around Java, and PyCharm, previous one, is specifically built around Python. Microsoft C# is good with Microsoft Visual Studio. JavaScript is very good with Microsoft Visual Studio Code. Two different icons, however different ones. And Groovy is good with IntelliJ IDE. Also, it could be interchanged. For example, Python used within Eclipse or Python used within +1 Visual Studio Code. However, these are kind of official IDE versus programming languages pairs. And also, you might be familiar or simply hear about it and do not be confused at business meetings when people are talking about typical automation testing toolsets. For example, Java is good with Selenium for Selenium testing. Python is good with robot testing. JavaScript is good with Microsoft Playwright and Cypress. And Groovy language is used in Catalan Studio and SoapUI open source. Such pairing